Hey guys, it's your boy Toki here with another Mythic Sanctum of Domination raid guide. Today I'd like to share with you a few tips and tricks that I found are very helpful on Mythic Painsmith Raznal's Intermission phase. Hopefully these tips will help save you from a few early deaths. So as we start the phase here, obviously avoid the swirlies and then stack up before the first row gets to you so you can consolidate the swirlies and go to the safe zone. As this row starts to pass us, I'm going to go ahead and do my mental assessment of what the Painsmith Raznal fight arena looks like, and if the next movement is going to be a difficult and dangerous movement, or if that movement is going to be relatively safe. So when I'm looking at this field right now and I'm assessing it for how dangerous it is, I'm thinking of a few things. How far away is the next safe area? Where are the balls coming from? And then also, what raid cooldowns do I have to help me get through it? And so because this is the beginning of the fight, I know raid cooldown wise, I'm going to have plenty of movement speed. There's going to be a Windrush totem down. There's probably going to be a roar. From that perspective, I'm relatively safe. Looking at where the actual safe zone is, it's kind of far away, so that's a little bit of a danger, but it's not too bad in this example. And then finally, looking at where the balls are at, they spawn on the opposite side from the safe zone, and so I would conclude that this is an extremely safe movement here. And, why do I say it's extremely safe and specifically point out the balls? Well, when the balls aren't near your safe zone, you're going to have the ability to move to the first row. And that comes in really handy, for a couple things. One, it'll buy you extra time, but then two, it'll also allow you to avoid the embers that come down and potential one-shots. So we'll turn to the left here, get ready, and we'll see what the field looks like. So, kind of as we discussed, right, the embers can go in your path, and this is a time when the embers did go in your path. Because there's no balls coming at you here, you have the opportunity to go to the first row, and I would say that that is the correct decision in this case. If you just stay on the second row and move forward, there's a very high chance you'll get hit by that ember swirly. And that can one-shot you, or it can waste one of your defensives for when you need to take one of the embers when there are balls in the field. So I would say no one should be staying in the second row and moving forward. It's just very dangerous. You're taking unnecessary damage. So we'll play this out and see what happens. And as you saw, some people did just move forward. Some of them did almost get one shot. And now, with a Disc Priest and a Paladin in your raid, it's going to be very challenging to get healed back up because a lot of our healing comes from hitting things. Obviously, we will be able to manage the raid. No one dies here, but it's just something to keep in mind. We're wasting raid resources with no good reason behind it. So as we get here and we look for, where the next set is and what the board looks like. Is it dangerous? Is it not dangerous? Well, here, I'd again assess it as not dangerous. Yes, the safe zone is kind of far away, but the balls are rolling towards us, and by the time we get to need to be in position for the safe zone, we'll have passed the balls. And so we will have that first row available for us to use. Secondly, we have a few seconds of the Stampeding Roar still up, and we'll be crossing into the Windrush Totem area. So as far as raid cooldowns, we should still have plenty of raid speed up. So we'll see how that plays out. So we see here, we have plenty of time, and I just want to make a note, if you're a class that doesn't have a lot of movement speed, such as a Paladin, especially on these long movements, getting to this last row here really increases your chances of survival. The hitbox of the spikes, they actually hit you before the spikes move up into the air. And so if we just went straight, there's a very good chance that we would have died from spikes here on this pull. But moving out to this first row gives us another second or so to get into position. And of course, once we get to the safe column here, we're going to restack onto the raid so that we consolidate and bring those swirlies back together with the rest of the raid. So here it is, looking at it again, moving around, stacking up with the raid, and consolidating. Okay, this next movement here, again, we're assessing the danger level. The balls are rolling away from us. It's kind of a long movement here, but we're going to have this first row available to us. So I wouldn't assess this as being particularly dangerous either. And we've got the raid cooldown of the Windrush Totem. So watching it play out, we come here. We've got an easy movement, so not much to say about this one in particular. Again, another easy movement, not much to say. But there is a swirly that spawns on that square. So where's the safest place to move? I would say there's two safe spaces to move. You can either move up one or down one. Just for consistency and less chance of error, I'd say always move to the first row here. Of course, you could move one row beyond and stay on the second row, but you're at more of danger of getting clipped by the spikes than you are of being hit by the balls in this particular scenario. But I guess overall, any of them are okay. The most safe though is on this last row. Okay, next movement, not too big of a movement, not much to talk about here, and we also have that row there if we want. And this is the final movement before we take the gate. As you see, swirly spawn in our path. There's really one best way to handle this, and that's to move to the first row, come around behind the gate, and click on it from behind. If you move forward, you're going to get hit by the swirly. You could get one shot and killed. You'll see a couple people get hit by it in this clip. If you go left and around the swirly, you're going to increase your risk of being clipped by the spikes as they come back. So we'll see this play out. A couple people get hit. We take the portal, heal up, stay clumped, and then dodge the swirlies at the end. I also wanted to include an example of what a scary or bad movement might look like from the perspective of the intermission here. So this bad movement's going to happen after this set. And so we're going to run off to the right. And whenever you run towards the balls, you always need to think, hey, the next set might be a dangerous set because the balls are moving in the same direction that you're going. And it's going to limit any sort of left or right movement for you to escape danger moving to the next safe zone. And we're going to actually see that play out here. If we didn't have all the movement speed from the beginning of this pull, I would be popping my horse here to make sure I have enough time to get to this safe spot. But as you can see here, the two balls are going to be limiting left or right movement as we go to the next safe spot. And if there's swirlies in our path, or if it's an extra long movement, which this one's not quite that bad, but if it was extra long, you have no way to gain any extra time or avoid the damage. So here you should really be thinking, what can I do to survive? Because this is a scary movement. Do I need to pop defensives? Do I need to pop my own movement speed increase? All those things are top of mind. Luckily in this pull, we didn't get any swirlies in our path, and so popping defensives was unnecessary. But again, in this situation, you should always be considering that. And you'll see it play out here as we move, moving with the balls. And by the time we get to the safe zone, the balls are blocking both our left and right sides, which means we can't buy any extra time. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Again, these are just some tips that I picked up going through the intermission phase a few times, and hopefully these save you a couple early deaths.